Hello, this is Jamaica 5288. Please like and subscribe. Today, we're going to talk about this. You know what this is? You know how you get your Christmas presents? You have that cheese that is non-perishable in the case of sausage and crackers and all kind of things. There's a process that you can do and make that block yourself. So, all you need is, of course, some cheese, right? And I got this from Walmart for about $15. I opened it up, and I am not going to let this thing go rancid. That's why I'm going to process it today, or start the process today. Next, you need some vinegar, and get the distilled vinegar, the highest percentage you can get, okay? Get some good vinegar. You need some wax, some cheese wax. You can buy this on Amazon. It's not very expensive, and it comes in different colors. I just ordered the red one. And you need either a double boiler or a pot that you can set in water, because you don't put the wax directly on the fire. You have to put water in the bottom and in the top. I didn't have a double boiler when I first started, so I got one of these camping cups for $5. And I just got a pot that this thing would just tilt in and sit in and melt the wax. Do not put your wax directly on fire or on your stove, because it'll burn. Okay? Just a second, we're gonna get started, all right? So I have some Colby Jack cheese that I've already opened. What I'm gonna do is, because I wanna have some fresh cheese in the refrigerator, I'm gonna cut about that much off and keep it in the refrigerator for us to use. I don't want that knife, I'll take the chef's knife. For us to use in the future. So I'm gonna cut that much off and put it back in the fridge. I got my Texas Tuck bag, you know how I feel about that. They're cheaper than Ziploc, so, and they're just as good. So I'm gonna take this and put it back in the refrigerator. Okay, so I'm gonna take my Colby Jack and I'm gonna cut it into the blocks that I want, or the blocks that I think is sizable enough for us. So I'm gonna cut right here. And remember, your pot has to be big enough to accommodate the block of cheese that you cut. So that's how much I'm gonna cut, because last time I cut them really small. I may cut a couple of small ones from here, but last time I cut them really small, and what if you wanna make a sandwich or something? So this is that block of cheese for that. I'm gonna do a couple of those. Let's see, I want them to be about the same size. So, there we are. I'm gonna cut that as straight as I possibly can. Do another one. Another thing you want to think about is, if you're using cheddar cheese, get the mild one. Because when you process it and keep it out and dry it out, because that's what we're gonna do, it makes it sharp. So if you start with sharp, you're gonna, it's gonna really extra sharp cheddar cheese. With the Colby Jack, a lot of people like this because this is a mild cheese, and it doesn't get as strong in cheese flavor as the other ones. But if you can only find sharp, use it. That's all you can find. Go ahead and use it and process it and preserve it. The only reason why I'm doing this is because sometimes we have power outages. We don't have any refrigeration, and this will stop my perishable cheese, because cheese is perishable until you process it like this, from going bad on me. So I'm gonna keep 2 blocks right here. I'm gonna cut this one in half. I don't want a bunch of big ones. Okay, so what you do now is you go to the Dollar Tree and you get one of these racks, right? You want it to be up off of you want air to get all along this cheese. So I put it on my cutting board, right? And I'm gonna lay them out. I'm gonna lay them out so they get as much air up and around and around them as possible. So I have it on my cheese rack. There's air that can flow underneath. What I'm gonna do is this, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I like to cover mine just in case something is, some debris or dust was coming is around here. So I like to cover mine with parchment paper. So we're gonna let this sit for at least 24 hours. Tomorrow I'm gonna come back. There's gonna be a skin and some oil that develops on the top of this cheese, and I'm gonna start brushing it with distilled vinegar. That's gonna start the curing process for the cheese. So I will see you tomorrow when this thing, the oils, you're gonna see oil bubble up to the top of the cheese, right? You're gonna see oil bubble up to the top of the cheese. What you're gonna do is, I'm gonna wipe it down with a paper towel, and I'm gonna brush the distilled vinegar on it. See you tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day. I'm gonna take my wax paper off. Do not discard this when I use it again. I'm gonna take a paper towel, and with clean hands, I'm gonna wipe any oil off the surface of the cheese. You'll notice that it has started to develop a skin on it, so the outside part is kind of like wax, but it's not wax, it's just dried up cheese. It's just a thin layer of a crust outside of the cheese. And the oil from the outside has started to bubble up, or it has started to perspire oil on the surface of the cheese. So as I'm wiping, I'm turning the grate side up so that I can see the, make sure that this cheese processes and all of the sides are dry. Then I'm gonna take some vinegar, distilled white vinegar. I have it in a cup with a brush, and I'm gonna go along all of the cheese and wipe it down with vinegar on all sides. This is gonna kill any kind of bacteria or any, mold or anything that's growing that may try to grow on the cheese. I'm gonna do it on each one of them. Make sure I get all of the sides. I don't care if I'm dripping vinegar. I do care that I get vinegar on all of the sides though. And the grate's gonna get air, it's gonna get air up or over it, under it, because I still have it raised above the cutting board on this baking rack that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. Nope, I ran out of that vinegar. Some people take the cheese and they actually dip it into the bowl, but this bowl is not big enough, and I don't like wasting a bunch of vinegar, so I just brush it on with a barbecue brush. Make sure you don't skip any of them. Make sure you do not skip any of them. All of them need to be brushed with vinegar. And we're gonna do this at least 2 more times. So it's gonna sit at least 2 more days. I continue to brush it with every day for 2 more days. I'm gonna brush this with vinegar, distilled white vinegar, the strongest one you can find. Okay, touch all of them, make sure I didn't miss any of them. Okay, then I'm gonna take my wax paper and I'm gonna cover it again until tomorrow. I'm gonna do the same thing 2 more times with the distilled vinegar. And on the 3rd day, I'm gonna let it dry out the 3rd day, and then we'll start the waxing process. So you do this 2 more times, and on the 3rd day, when it dried out, we're gonna do the waxing process. I'll see you when we get there. One other thing I failed to mention was that I'm tinting the parchment paper. So I just simply crunched up the corners of the parchment paper so that it wasn't touching the cheese. It's the next day and I'm gonna take my tint off, put it to the side. I'm gonna take a clean paper towel. I'm gonna wipe off any oil residue that's came through on the cheese, and you will find a residue. So you just wipe each one off with a paper towel. The cheese has already formed a crust on it. I don't know if you all can see it, but if anybody has had cheese in the refrigerator that's been left out, you know what I'm talking about. The edges have gotten kind of hard, and the skin has formed on the cheese, which is good because that means the inside is kind of sealed, but we're gonna make sure it's sealed, and we're gonna make sure we get rid of any kind of bacteria, mold, or anything that can spoil the cheese by rubbing it with some more vinegar. This is distilled white vinegar I have in a little cup, and I am gonna wipe or brush on the vinegar on each side. The vinegar is a disinfectant. It will make sure that this cheese does not get moldy and rancid. It's preserving it. Just like pickles, you know, you pickle your pickles in your cabbage, your not the coleslaw, but your sauerkraut and your pickles and radishes and kimchi. All of them are fermented, and that's basically what we're doing. We're fermenting, or we're sealing the outside with an acid, a preservative, getting rid of. And so, as I said, this is going to kill any bad stuff that may form on the outside of the cheese. The softer the cheese, the more careful you have to be, because mold can penetrate through a soft cheese quicker than it can a harder cheese. That's why I'm not doing this with cream cheese. I'm doing this with some kind of block cheese that is not as pliable, which means it will form a crust on the outside and the inside is still good. Just, you know, make sure you preserve it and you get all of the bacteria and mold residue off the outside. One more. Patience. Took me a long time to learn patience, but I think I'm getting there the older I get. So that's done. Put my tent back on to prevent any debris getting on my cheese. And I will see you tomorrow, okay? Okay, this is the last time I'll be wiping it with vinegar. Get one of my brushes with some vinegar and wash it off. You know what I It's drying up so much it's starting to crack. Look at that. Tomorrow we wax. Uh-oh. Clumsy. Put a little bit more on that since I dropped it on the counter. Okay, that's it for today. I'm gonna cover it back up. Get my tent. And tomorrow we're gonna let this dry out one more night, and tomorrow we're gonna start our wax and we're gonna dip it. See you then. This is our last day, and I'm wiping any oil off the cheese. We're getting ready to dip it. And you're gonna see a glaze on there. There's still oil coming out of this cheese, but you know, it's ready. It is ready. Some of it is actually split. That's fine. Don't worry about that. We got our double boiler going with a cup, a pot in a pot, and a cup. Uh-oh. Just wiping all of this oil off. See my napkin is coming off. You're not going to get it all off, but you want to get off as much as possible. Look at my hands. They're all shiny. It's the cheese oil. Last one. Okay. Move you closer, okay? Over here with the pot. I have my rack here. Put my wax paper underneath because the wax may drip and I don't want it to get on my countertop. So I'm going to do it like that. And I have my cup here with my wax that is melted. Do not put wax directly on the fire. It is flammable. I'm gonna dip my wax. I'm gonna put it on the paper. I'm gonna dip my cheese, not my wax. I'm gonna dip my cheese in the wax. I'm gonna put it on the paper. on the rack on the paper. Do not get cheese. Try not to get any wax on your countertop. It's hard to get off. Put my cheese in the wax. Put it on the paper. We're gonna dip this more than once, so don't worry about the prongs leaving a mark. Put it on the paper. I need to move this closer. I'm dropping wax. Putting my cheese in the wax. Putting it on the paper. And over again, we're doing this. Putting my cheese in the wax. Getting it coated. Putting it on the paper. Now these big ones are going to be interesting. Let me melt this wax some more. I'm just dipping my cup in the water. Trying to get some of this wax off the prongs. And it melts really quick. Put this back. I'm not going to use the prong for the big one. I'm just going to use my hand. And I'm going to have to dip one end and then come back and dip the other. Moving it around. Let it drip. Stand it up. Let it cool off. Same thing with this one. I'm taking it in there. I'm going to move it around. Get at least half of it covered with wax. And I dip my cheese at least 3 times. So these have dried. And I'm gonna dip them again. I'm gonna stand it up. Stand it up on the side that you did not dip. Take this one, dip half of it, and turn it upside down, put it on the rack. Same thing with this one. Dip half of it, turn it upside down on the rack. Here we go with this one, and you can see that there are marks where the rack has left an indentation. We're gonna get that covered. And stick half of it in there. Move it around. Move it around, and turn it. Let's dip this one more time, and stand it up on the side that has cooled. I need to melt my wax again. So I got wax on my hands. And this is what I'm talking about, reusing your wax. Well, this is not cool. Come back to that. Put it back in my boiling water. The only reason why I'm doing it this way, and I'm gonna start using this double boiler for wax, is because I've been using this cup for a while and I didn't want to necessarily use the part, but I got wax in there, so now I'm gonna have to use it for just waxing cheese. Hold it in there till the wax remelts. Put it back up here. Wipe this off. You do not want wax to get next to your fire. It's flammable. Wash my hands again. Move, girl. Move. Okay, I'm gonna take the side of the wax that I have not dipped And I'm gonna dip that, move that around, get that half covered with wax. And I'm gonna turn it upside down. Same thing with this one. Put it in there, move it around, get it covered with wax. Get it covered with wax. And turn it upside down, wet side up. Come on, stand up. Get this one, look at that. You see that? It's not covered. Stick it in the wax. And get it covered. And stand it wet side up. Same thing with this. You're gonna keep flipping them until you think you can't see any of the cheese. Sometimes it'll take me 3-4 times, but I just wanna make sure that the whole thing is covered. And I always do opposite sides, so every time I dip it, I flip it over to the other side. I got wax here that has not melted. There you go. Making a mess, making a mess. We remelt it. Does not take long to remelt wax. Does not take long. Just stick it in the hot water and it'll do its thing. Turn back into a liquid. Put it back. I got 2 more to do. See that? I have cheese that I can see on there. I'm gonna stick it in there, get it coated. Let it drip into the pot, wet side up. Same thing with this one. Make sure that when you dip it, you're overlapping it so you're covering the center. Look at my big one. They look pretty good, but I still see a little bit of orange in the center. So I am going to dip it again and again, even if I have to go and put another block of cheese wax in there. I'm gonna do it. It has to be sealed. Turn it upside down. Get this one. Which side did I just do? Move it around. Get it coated. Turn it upside down. Grab this one. Get it coated. Look it up. This one. Get it coated. There we go. Ooh! Let me get my prongs. And now the prongs are stuck, they won't open. All is well, all is well, all is well. Oh, God, what's life if you can't laugh at the mishaps? I didn't break my seal, though. I'm happy about that. Get this wax off of here and put it back in the thing. Throw this out. Clean my stove off. The rule is if you're clumsy, you have to be extra, extra careful. I have to melt some more wax. I'll be right back. here we've melted more wax. I'm gonna take it in there. I still see some orange on this side, so I'm gonna put it in there. Submerge it, drip it, drip it, put it on the opposite side. Looking at this one, it looks pretty much covered, but I still see some orange there. So I'm gonna put it on this side, put it in the wax. Drip it and turn it over. Put it in the wax. You want your cheese completely covered with red. No orange should be seen. Turn it over. You put it on the opposite side so it can dry. You don't want your rack to leave an indentation mark. Having a trouble to stand this one up. All right, drip this one. Put it in the wax. Get it covered as much as possible, over half, so it overlaps. And I'm gonna stand it up on the opposite end. Same thing here. Put it in the wax. Turn it over and stand it up. Same here. Put it in the wax. And stand it up. Go back to this one. Put it in the wax. Turn it over and stand it up. And this one here. And stand it up. Okay, think I've got pretty much all of them done. Take a good look at them. Make sure there's no orange showing. And I'm gonna let them sit here for at least 12 hours. And then I'm gonna put them in a container, plastic container. And I'm done. These are sealed. I'll let you take a look at them. They're not pretty, but they are completely covered with wax, and that's what you want. This is Jamerica 5288. Please try this process of preserving cheese. You don't need a refrigerator after this. You put it in your pantry, and you're done with it. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. Bye.